take a look at a really easy song. Very hard song to sing. Well, kind of, unless you want to sing it like Kris. If you decide to sing it like Janis, it's going to be tough. But very simple chord progression. So we're going to talk about, this is a great song for like beginning guitar players because you can do a very simple strum, very simple country strum. I'm playing an A chord here because this is the key that Kris originally did it in. We're going to talk about a few different things coming up, but you can really just run through the progression, and it's very simple. It uses the three major chords in the key. In A, that would be A, D, and E could be played as a seventh chord. We're also going to look at it in the key of G, where we'd use G, C, and D or D7. So it's a really cool, just a kind of standard country progression. It's the story to the song that is the whole thing. And so anyway, we'll talk about just doing a simple strum through it like this, or the type of picking that Kristofferson does in a lot of his songs, where it's just thumb, a four-note pattern. Thumb on the root of the chord, or the bass note. It'll alternate usually between two bass notes. Index finger on the third string, and then second and third fingers together on the first and second strings, and then back to this. So it's thumb, index, middle in the ring, and back to index. And if you just keep that pattern going throughout the whole thing, and alternate the bass notes from the fifth to the sixth string, you can run through the whole progression like that. You could also strum it more like Janis did, or the guitar player that was playing this for Janis. She did it in the key of G, and the G chord had a little bounce to a C chord, to just your first and second fingers going to the notes they would be on for a C. And that's about the vamp, the only vamp that happens in there. And it was done more with strumming. Now the song, Kristofferson had some success with particularly other people doing his songs. And it came time for him to do an album of his own songs. He had some great songs on this first album that was just called Kristofferson. It included Me and Bobby McGee, For the Good Times, Darby's Castle, anyway. And but it didn't do very well in the sales department. But what did happen was Janis, very close friend of his at the time, happened to record it. And unfortunately, she met her demise before it came out and before Kris heard it or even knew she had done it. And so she had sort of just been messing around with it. There's a cool video. Well, it's not a video. It's really just an audio, because we didn't have video of her doing this, of her just strumming it and singing it in the studio. And she says, we got to get a real guitar player to do this, or something like that. But she just puts her heart and soul into it. And at that point, this song took off on her album Pearl. And so the upshot of this is that Kris's label, Monument, pulled the record back and reissued it under the title Me And Bobby McGee. And that really launched Kris's career. He followed it up with an album a year later called The Silver-Tongued Devil and I. And then the next album was it was a little weaker because he was sort of pressed into time. He'd had a backlog of great tunes for the first two albums. Anyway, enough about the Kristofferson story, but that's something you might want to pursue a little bit more. Find out a little bit more about Kris Kristofferson and his life and evolution as one of the great songwriters of the last 50 years. Well, been more than that, 60 years, I guess, now. Anyway, so we're really just going to talk about the chord progression, a couple of different ways of playing it, and there's not much to it, but I'm going to kind of put together a hybrid version of how I would play it if I was just going to finger pick it and sing it. Now, it does both versions, and this is typical of relatively simple chord progression songs, is to make it a little more interesting. The second verse is done a whole step higher. So in Kris's case, he picks through it in A and then moves into B. Now, playing in the key of B is not fun for guitar players. Every chord's a bar chord. Well, there's an E chord in there that doesn't have to be played as a bar. But on Kris's recording, there are multiple guitars, and pretty soon you can hear that the guitar he's playing has been capoed, and he's playing it back in the key of A. But there are two other guitars that are kind of playing in the background. Janis's version starts in G, which means that when it modulates, it goes to A, both of which are really easy keys to play in on the guitar. So, and again, the reason somebody would change a key to the song is to make it a little less monotonous and to just add a little extra interest to what's going on. So, okay, so coming up, we'll break down a few of the things that happen. It's not very complicated. So again, if you're a beginning guitar player, this is a great tune to start with. Vital chords that you need for all kinds of stuff. So we'll take a look at Kris Kristofferson's Me and Bobby McGee, and Janis's. And mine, I guess.